Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2023 GMC Sierra 3500, we're going to be checking out the B&W Sliding Type fifth wheel hitch for trucks that have the OEM prep package. Being that this is designed to work with the trucks that have the OEM prep package, it's super convenient. You know, this thing just drops directly into the factory hitch, you lock it down, and you are good to go. For those of you that need a fifth wheel but you don't have the prep package, you could always get an embed rail kit and a fifth wheel will drop into that. Or honestly, I like the B&W Underbed Gooseneck hitches, and then you can use what's called the B&W Companion, which will drop into that gooseneck, and you kind of get 2 for 1 out of that and a really clean installation look. But when it comes to B&W, they're by far my favorite when it comes to the more heavy-duty towing components. Extremely well made, well thought out, and they just work like you'd expect them to. You know, chances are pretty good. If you've been looking around into the towing world or you're familiar with it, you've probably heard of the name before, and there's a reason for it because they make really high-quality components. With that said, this is going to be a sliding type hitch, so it'll work with the long beds and the short beds, but it's really only going to be mostly applicable to those of you that have a short bed. And that's because with the decreased amount of cab clearance, what can happen if your trailer, camper, whatever you have, hangs over a little bit and you go to make tight turns, you could potentially run into issues with the trailer hitting your cab corner. And so if you go to make a maneuver like that, you can slide this back. How it would work is you have a lever here, you lift up on that, the whole hitch will slide back quite a ways and give you more than enough room to be able to make that tight turn. Whenever you plan on just towing like normal again though, you always want to make sure to put this back into that forward position. That's just how it's designed to work. Now with that said, if you find yourself in that scenario where you're going to have to do something like this, you will have to get out of the truck and actually lift up on the lever and make that turn, so on and so forth. So it does slow you down a little bit. To me, it's not a huge deal because you're really not in that scenario all that often, more than likely. And if it's that tight to begin with, by slowing yourself down a little bit, kind of makes you aware, more conscious of what's going on. But if you're always making those maneuvers and don't want to have to bother with that, you can get auto slide type hitches. Demco makes one where it'll do that more or less automatically for you whenever it feels that need to. For those of you that have a long bed, chances are pretty good you'll have adequate clearance to begin with, so you can probably get away with using a fixed type hitch. The one thing to note with this is it is pretty heavy. You know, you definitely need a couple of people to give you a hand putting this in the truck and taking it out, things like that. Even though it does kind of break apart into 2 different pieces, which I'll show you in a minute, it's still pretty heavy duty. They do make lifting devices that go into the kingpin or into the jaw here, and you can put it on a winch or something like that. So if you happen to have a big garage or a pole barn shop with that type of equipment, then you could always look into that. But I'm bringing this up because of the weight, a lot of people just tend to leave this in the truck bed for the season or whatever the case may be, and they want to protect the investment, right? So they'll ask, am I going to be able to use a tonneau cover with this in the back of the truck? And from what I can see here, I really don't see any reason you shouldn't be able to. The height is adjustable, and right now I have it in the middle setting. So the head could come up a little bit more, but even at the highest setting, I feel like you'd have more than enough clearance in just about every situation, regardless of what type of tonneau cover you might have. The head of the hitch does articulate from front to back, so that should make it a little bit easier to hook up and things like that. And the jaw mechanism here, that's going to grab your kingpin, super stout, 360-degree contact, really thick steel. So that should give you good peace of mind there, and that should help prevent your kingpin from kind of clunking around too as you're going down the road. At least that's my thought. And the handle mechanism, of course, easy to operate like anything B&W. So back your truck up to the trailer, lock down on it, and that's really all there is to it there. So like I said before, the head of this does come apart, and to do that, just pull a couple of pins out. You can lift up on these handles and get it removed, so it definitely makes it a little bit lighter when you go to take this out or put it in your truck. And the head's going to rest on these bushings, which really help kind of keep things quiet. You know, that movement from when the head articulates, it's going to ride on these bushings, and they give you some grease and stuff you can put on them too to prolong the life of them and help keep things a little bit more quiet. As far as the weight capacities go, the hitch is going to be rated for a 20,000 pound maximum gross trailer weight rating. So that's the weight of the trailer plus anything you might have in or on it. And what that means is that's the amount of weight that's going to pull on the hitch. And as far as the maximum pin box weight rating, it's going to be 5,000 pounds, so the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. I do always like to recommend, always a good idea, just to grab your truck's owner's manual, check in there and make sure that it can handle that amount of weight safely. Other than that, at the end of the day, these B&W hitches are by far my favorite. Just the overall quality of construction, the craftsmanship, you know, they're made right here in the USA. They just fit and work like you'd expect them to. You know, you really can't ask for too much more. So if you're looking for a really high quality hitch, this is definitely one to consider, and you won't be disappointed in it. But with all that said, I feel like that'll finish up our look at of the B&W Sliding Type fifth wheel hitch for trucks with the OEM prep package on our 2023 GMC Sierra 3500.